Child abuse prevention. Child abuse has turned into a more and more concerning issue within our society. In fact, studies have shown that the number of physical abuse and neglected children has been increasing each year. As a society, we have to realize what's happening. In order to do that, let's take a look at some of the old practices that families have carried out throughout the years, which are no longer family practices because we have changed our mindset. For instance, everyone's familiar with those moms yelling and beating their children because they have done something wrong. It was pretty normal at that time, and now we find it funny when we think about it. Yet it was no more than a kind of threat to kids, in an attempt of making them obedient. However, society doesn't do that anymore. Society has changed its old ways because it realized they didn't bring any benefit. At the end, it's all about changes. During the last 20 years, child protection system has done nothing but doubling and even tripling its size. This is the only visible change that institutions created to protect children's lives have gone through. Then, what's the result? Unmanageable caseload and reforms processes which cost millions of dollars. In fact, it is stated that the northern of Australia is a territory where children suffering from abuse are the least safe. We can say that child abuse is an ever-escalating issue. Currently, it is reaching disproportionate numbers of neglected children, and one of the major problems is that the law of land only kicks in when abuse has occurred. When the law says that this is not only harmful, but this is abuse. From that point, children protection has the right to get involved with or without the consent of parents. So, how can we prevent the abuse? In order to do that, we need to create a child-friendly community. By this, I mean that society mustn't change only into a safe community for all children, but it must change its attitude towards them. This is what will make a real difference. For example, don't give parents the death stare when the children are having a meltdown, because this is not helpful. Surely, child abuse prevention does require a bit effort as a society, but it isn't complicated. Now, regarding the way we think about children, we must change the perspective, the whole perspective. We must know that children are valuable and important. And simply by being a nice person to them and being a positive role model, it's what will make a real difference. Because we know that kids learn from what they see and observe. So if we take into account all these facts, and if society changes for good, with no doubt I can say children will develop a positive attitude towards life.